guys, welcome back to Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys tuning in for today's episode. And guys, at the time of filming this video, it is the 1st of June, and there's something that happens the 1st of June every year with the bass that I want to let you guys know about. Every single month, there's a transition period in fishing, and June is one of those months that you have some really big transitions going on. So I'm going to explain to you guys something that happens usually the 1st of June that you can incorporate into your fishing, and an understanding of this is really going to help you catch a lot more fish. So we'll dig into that in today's episode here. Also, guys, before we get started, a couple of different things. You heard me talking about it, guys. I'd like to invite you, if you're looking for a freaking awesome spinning reel, guys, check out this new Cast King Speed Demon Elite spinning reel. 11 ball bearings in the thing, guys, built for stout, super solid, got a big, nice 3000 series spool on it. Sucker is only $119, guys, and I got my Cast King link in the description of this video, and if you use the promo code Randy10, you get an additional discount on it. I have never seen a spinning reel with this quality for that price, and I swear, guys, you'll think it's a $300 spinning reel. It's freaking awesome. So if you're looking for one, Cast King link in the description of the video. And also, guys, I'd like to invite everybody, if you haven't had a chance or to consider subscribing here to Intuitive Angling, I'd like to invite everybody to do that. It's a free and easy way to support the channel. If you subscribe to the channel and you like the videos and comment on the videos, and especially if you hit that hype button that comes up there, really good way to help the videos get out on YouTube. So thank you very much for everybody that's done that. Okay, guys, one of the things that I like to talk about here on the channel that a lot of guys don't like to hear about is bass personality and behavior, seasonal patterns, and basically anything that has to do with becoming a student of the fish. But the people that come to my channel to learn, they are the ones that absorb this information, because what I'm getting ready to tell you, if you absorb this information on this part of fishing, you're going to see your consistency and the amount of fish you consistently start catching go up and up as a result of it. If you're one of those viewers that only tune in to, like, you know, hey, I've got the new secret lure, man, you've never seen this color before and it's working great, and you're looking for a quick fix, guys, you're never, ever going to, it's not going to help you out much. I mean, it's going to help you out a little bit, but you're going to grow at a snail's pace versus if you pay attention to what I'm getting ready to tell you here. Okay, here's what happens in June. Usually the first week of June, based upon what part of the country you're in. For most of the country, June sort of marks that transition period over into early summer patterns. And what I'm talking about is you're usually anywhere between 3 to 6 weeks out from the spawn, where the major spawn took place. Sometimes, 3 weeks to even a month and a half out, depending upon the part of the country you're in. And once these fish get out of the post-spawn phase, in other words, once they start moving away from their areas that they have been hanging out spawning in, and they're done guard and fry, and they're sort of, in that mode of recuperating from the rigors of spawning, both the male and the female bass, they start to transition into this summer type behavior mode that they have. And based upon, the type of lake you're fishing, it's going to be a lot of different things. So one of the things that happens that a lot of people don't really understand, really in the first part of June, is that bass will move deeper in June, usually the first, second, or third week of May, sometimes deeper than they move the rest of the year. I don't know what it is about it, but they do, based upon, well, it depends on the lake. If you got a dirty water lake, maybe not so much, but if you've got a lake that's got some decent water visibility, the bass will get really deep and they'll get on the bottom in the month of June after they get done spawning. Now, they do this because, we talk about this a little bit over and over. The thermocline has not really established yet in June. It's usually sometime in July when the lake starts, forming a thermocline. Once that thermocline starts forming, those fish can't really use that deep water below 25 or 30 foot on the bottom because you just don't have the appropriate oxygen levels. And then after that, they move shallower, or they start suspending, or they start roaming out in open water. But one of the things that happens in the first week of June, almost, without a doubt, on any lake where you have water visibility over about 1.5 feet, is there's going to be wolf packs and schools of bass that move out on what are commonly referred to as hard structure areas on the bottom. They do this every single year, and they only stay out there, guys, about 3 weeks, and then they start moving out of there. So what you want to look for, this is pretty easy to do. If you have a man-made impoundment, this is not going to be anything for a natural lake. All you guys that have natural bodies of water, this probably not going to do any good. But any type of a man-made body of water, I don't care if it can be like a TVA river impoundment like Chickamauga or Gunnersville. It can be just a regular lake like Sam Rayburn Lake or Ozark Lakes here or Lake Lanier, Georgia, whatever. The first 3 weeks of the month, this is when these fish will really get up into schools. And based upon a lot of different variables, these schools can be little wolf packs of 2 or 3 fish, or they can be massive, what they call mega schools. Mega schools are big schools of bass, sometimes hundreds of fish in one school that sort of don't exist anymore. It's sort of like, back in the early 1800s, I'll give you an example here. I read the Lewis and Clark journals back in 1804, and when Lewis and Clark came up the Mississippi River, up the Mississippi River from St. Louis north, they were talking about having to deal with all the grizzly bears that were in Missouri. We don't have any grizzly bears in Missouri anymore. And it's sort of the same with mega schools of bass. Mega schools basically don't exist. They're very rare to have a big mega school. There used to be a lot of mega schools prior to the introduction of advanced mapping systems. Once advanced mapping systems, GPS mapping systems came out, all of the places that traditionally held mega schools, which were usually creek channel intersections, ditches, drop-offs, ledges, humps, all that type of stuff that were very hard to find before, those areas got exploited massively in about a 5 or 10 year period, and it just got rid of the mega schools. So now these schools of fish are usually a lot smaller, but nevertheless, they still do school up in the first week of June. Usually June 1st is when they start. So this is a great time of year to catch multiple fish off of one area. So some of the favorite ways that I like to fish with and take advantage of is my favorite way to do it. And again, I don't care what lake you're on, is I like to look for flat banks and flat points. And what I do is I get out on these flat banks, and it doesn't even have to be around a point. It helps if it does, but it doesn't have to. But I get out on these flat banks and flat points, and I go out there and I look at with my 2D sonar, and I try to find any type of a subtle drop-off on a flat bank. And in June, guys, these schools of fish, they love to hang out on flat points and flat banks on just any type of a subtle drop. Let me give you a prime example of this. Back in the early 2000 somewhere, we had a circuit here in Missouri called the Central Pro-Am Circuit. It was a really big regional circuit here, and they had a tournament called the Titleist Tournament. And this tournament was for people that had won past Central Pro-Am events. So I was in this tournament. Dion Hibden and a bunch of guys of us that had won tournaments before with Central Pro-Am, and we had this Titleist tournament at Table Rock Lake the first week of June. So I had a lot of experience with these schools of fish and fishing for them the first week of June, fishing all over the country. So that was my plan in this tournament, to look for these schools of fish on those flat banks. So what I did is I went up one of the river arms and I started idling on the flat banks, not even around the points. And I just put my 2D sonar on, and I just idled back and forth, and I looked for any type of irregular break. And I found about 3 or 4 flat banks where the water dropped off. It's like flat, 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 and then the water dropped off like to 5 down into maybe 8 foot on like over about maybe a 5 or 10 foot section. Just a real gradual drop, but something that was, the bank was like uniform, and then you had this little break off in it, real subtle. And I started throwing a deep diving crankbait on these subtle drops, and I wound up winning the tournament doing that. Perfect example with it. And these were in obvious spots. They were not on them. You couldn't even see them on a contour. It's just, you find them by idling. The first week of June, guys, this is when this happens. So one of the things I would recommend is this. Go in your major creek arms or on the upper part of a lake and look at a bank that looks like a nothing looking bank, just a flat, nothing looking bank. Get on that flat looking bank and just start idling around it and look for this type of stuff. Look for these little areas where the water drops off. It doesn't have to be like a sharp drop or anything, just something that's irregular feature as far as a little bit of an irregular break, and get out there with a deep diving crankbait or a football head jig or something like that and fish those little breaks. And it's a pattern that you can run. Anytime you see this type of an area, there's some places like that. Now, one of the places I do like to avoid are points, because points attract a lot of attention. So any type of an area like that on a point is going to get a lot of attention. That's why concentrating on these just flatter, straight banks is a really, really good way to catch them there. One of the things that you need to remember on this, though, is when you're fishing the first week of June, is you have to have a arsenal laid out there to really maximize these active fish. Because what happens is 9 times out of 10, when you do catch a fish on these type of places, there's always more than one fish there. And when you catch a fish, it excites and activates the school that is there. And you have got to get right back in there. So when you catch one, guys, and try to get that fish off and unhooked as quick as you can, and don't take your eyes off of the exact spot where you had that bite. Cast right back on that spot at the exact same angle, and guys, 9 times out of 10, you're going to catch another one. Make about 10 or 20 casts on the spot with your same bait that you caught it on, and then put that down. And if that doesn't work, like if you're throwing a crankbait, chunk out a big swim bait, or chunk out a big worm, or chunk out a football head jig, or a spoon, or whatever. Keep them fired up, because as long as you keep catching fish in there, it's going to get that competition instinct of the bass riled up, and that's when you can really sack them up. And I've out of all the fishing that I've done in my life, I have caught more 20-pound bags of fish the first week of June doing exactly what I'm telling you than I have any other type of technique. I've caught more 20-pound bags than I have flipping or throwing a big spinner bait or anything, or jerk baits or anything, just in this time frame. This is a great time of year to get out there. And it's not that hard to do, guys. It's really not. It may sound like there's a lot to it, but it's really not. You can do the same thing just running points. You may not have, you can pull up on some points and whack them, but if you just want to go out there and just run as many flat points as you can still catch them like that. But try to incorporate just those flatter, nothing looking banks, as much as you can with it. So anyway, guys, just wanted to throw that little tidbit out there. It's a really good way to catch them. Try to take advantage of it. Doesn't last very long. Normally by towards the end of June, it's pretty much done. Fishing's going to get a lot tougher by the end of June, and it starts to get tougher and tougher as the summer goes on. So anyway, guys, hope it helps you out. We'll talk later.